People try to figure out why Dr. King died. Dr. King didn't die because he wanted rights for blacks. They were cool with that. You know when he died? He said that we need to make all people economically better. That's when he died. Because what they said was this: it's okay for this black man to support black people. We cool with that. But if he can bring all kind of people together, start talking about economic rights and how we need to be treated better, we don't want to deal with that. Well, they're dealing with it now because we're all together and we're not leaving each other. This is how we win. This is how we win, guys. You go back to South Carolina, you go back to Kentucky, you go back to West Virginia, you go back to Iowa, you go back to Tennessee, you go back to Texas, and you pull them in. You fight the way you fought for Bernie. And then your communities will be better. That's how you win. And if you do that, you'll look up in a year, you'll be better. You look up in another year, and these congressional people are doing, they realize these people will vote me out if I do not serve them. Until you do that, they will continue to do the bad behavior. If you don't want bad food, stop buying bad food. For those candidates that support bad food, don't allow them to be elected. Let's find one thing to hold strong on. The one thing that we, and why we're leaving the Democratic Party, for me, is corruption and disrespect for the people. That's what we're fighting for. Because I'm going to tell you this. If Bernie had lost fair and square, probably would have voted for the Democratic Party. But the fact that we were robbed, I can't do it, guys. You can't, I just got to get y'all to get this. If your child was molested by a man, would you bring him back in the house? It's the same thing. You can't bring them back into your world. You have to think of it like that.
Get a picture of your flag, that's all.
That's how serious it has to be. Because some people are going to say, I see it on Facebook, well, I just can't deal with the other side. I can't deal with what I know. I'm not afraid of what might happen. This has already happened, and I can't deal with that. I'm going to take my chances of going over here, and maybe, just maybe, something good might happen for me. But over here, nothing good is going to happen. So I'm going to give this to you. They keep asking me, the media and people, what's going to happen? I would say, right now, if I walk out that door, that's Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party, I feel like I know there's 30 men on AK-47s. I'm gonna die. Over here, there's a 30-foot cliff with alligators. I gotta.
Lost the feed. It looks like Josh Earnest has wrapped up and they've already cut away from the feed of the White House daily briefing room. You're looking at a live look at the DNC Day 4. In case you missed any of the happenings yesterday, we did clip a few of the highlights. They are on our YouTube channel. You view a clip of Bernie Sanders speaking at a breakfast this morning. This is new and fresh. You guys haven't seen this yet. This was early this morning.
Good idea. I think we should make gay marriage legal. Oh, that was a great idea. That's not what happens. It happens that people struggle. Think about the civil rights movement, the number of people who went to jail and died in that struggle. What the political revolution is about is engaging millions of people in our country in the struggle for social, economic, racial, and environmental justice. And that's what I tell you that, as Jeff just mentioned, we have significant significantly altered the nature of discussion, political discussion in America. Yeah. Because we have asked the honest and real questions. He's absolutely right, and I campaigned on this. How insane it is that we have millions of people leaving school deeply in debt, and others can't even afford to go to college. How crazy is that when we live in a competitive global economy? It is not a radical idea, and we have gotten that point across, that when we talk about public education, it must mean making public colleges and universities tuition-free. Because of your support, we have won that debate. Some of you may know that in the process of working with Secretary Clinton's campaign, she ended up and I ended up coming up with an agreement. It wasn't everything that I wanted. But right now, what the proposal is that she is supporting is to say that every family in America of $125,000 or less will be able to send their kids to a public college or university tuition free. And in that same proposal, very, very strong language in terms of reducing student debt. You made that happen. Thank you. Now, I believe, and I think many of you believe, that this country has got to join the rest of the industrialized world and guarantee health care to all people as a right to a better and for all citizens. That's our view. That's not Secretary Clinton's view. But we reached a compromise. She is now public in saying she will double, not a small amount, double the amount of money coming in to community health centers all over this country, which will revolutionize primary health care. She is on record and will support public options in every exchange in this country. Allowing people 55 or older to opt into Medicare. Those are not small things. Now, what you know and what I know is politics is not what appears on the TV. What TV is interested in is conflict and fundraising and political gossip. But what the American people are interested in is what is going on in their lives. It is absolutely fair to say that we are in much better shape today than we were 7.5 years ago when Bush left office and when we were losing 800,000 jobs a month. No one can debate that. But on the other hand, what is also true, and we have got to have the courage to acknowledge it, I didn't hear it so much yesterday, by the way, is that while things are better than they were 7.5 years ago, if anybody here thinks there are not millions of Americans who are suffering economically, who are struggling right now to figure out how they're going to put food on the table for their kids, if you don't understand that, then you don't understand what's going on in America. Because that is what's going on. I'm not going to hear a whole lot about the grotesque level of income and wealth inequality. That's what we talk about. And we believe that it is immoral and unsustainable.
Even moderating their views. And when they see weakness in the United States, they take advantage of it. Foreign policy critical. Mike Pence. I served with Mike for 10 years. If this is the kind of quality people that Donald Trump...
You got people working longer hours for lower wages. You got people working 2 or 3 jobs despite a huge increase in technology and productivity. Okay. Today, 85% in the last few years of all new income is going to the top 1%. Does anybody here think that that is close to the kind of economy we should be having? No. All right. We talk about it. Other people don't talk about it. But the American people are listening to us. In terms of trade policies, we are going to work hard to defeat the TPP. Yeah. In terms of minimum wage, we are going to fight to continue a struggle to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. So here is my point. My point, and what I believe, and I know most of you believe, is that politics, elections are very, very important. We work hard. But politics is transforming America and changing the lives of people who are hurt. Our country is great, not by how many millionaires and billionaires it has, but by how it treats its most vulnerable people. The children, the elderly, people with disabilities. We have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. We have millions of seniors and disabled vets trying to get by on $11,000, $12,000 a year Social Security. Not acceptable. And we're going to change that. So, as Jeff indicated, we're going to get money out of politics. We're going to overturn the Citizens United.
All right, guys, we're going to cut out of this Bernie Sanders speech from earlier this morning. This, again, was a delegate breakfast that Bernie Sanders was speaking at. Instead, we're going to take you live directly to Philadelphia. Final day of the DNC. Our very own John Hook there. John.
Hey, Sami, how are you? We're in the space. I want to show you with John Netzel why we're in here and we're not in the hall. They are getting hit with some really wicked weather right now here in Philadelphia. They're saying there's going to be some massive storms tonight. It looks a little better actually right now. Here you go. But it's blowing out there. It's been raining. Yeah, it's pouring right now outside. I think John could show you. Cater is getting soaked. This is the this area right here. We'll get under the umbrella here. This puts a damper on things, obviously, for everybody trying to do their work around here. Not only the journalists, but there's Joe Trippi, I think, running towards us. We might get Joe here under the tent. We interviewed Joe at the RNC. Yeah, that's Joe Trippi. Joe Trippi ran Howard Dean's campaign back in 2004, and I'll get him right here. Hey, Joe, step into our tent for a second. We're live. Come on in. You can do it. Joe, good to see you.
Do a hit.
You got to do a hit?
Yeah,
real quickly, tonight, what are we going to hear from Hillary?
I think, look, she's got to talk about where she wants to take the country now. It's been, everything has worked great so far, particularly after how this thing started. But I think now it's what change does she want? What direction she want to move in? Trump wants to change going back. She wants to change moving forward. What's that change look like?
Quickly, you told me last week, you said it may be tight, but you think Trump doesn't have a lot of area to grow this campaign. That was your concern.
Yeah, new poll came out today. He's down 9 points in Pennsylvania. The Clinton campaign's moving its money out of Colorado because their polling shows they've got such a big lead there.
Wow.
So you see states like that start to fall. The needle's getting thinner and thinner, and he's got a thread.
So don't believe the national polls.
National
the
polls
don't show.
matter.
It's
They
the
don't matter.
battlegrounds.
It's the battleground states.
Yeah. I'll let you get back to work.
Okay, thanks.
You all right? That was
Yeah.
pretty rough out there.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, see you, Joe. Joe's a really cool guy. I lean on Joe for some insight because Joe's been around the block. Again, he ran that Howard Dean campaign, so he can relate to the Bernie Sanders phenomenon because he ran the Howard Dean campaign in 2004, which was really an insurgent campaign. A governor of Vermont, Howard Dean. It's kind of interesting. These guys come out of Vermont or the Northeast, which maybe shouldn't be surprising because for the liberal wing of the party, you're going to get guys out of Massachusetts, Vermont, places like that. You think of Michael Dukakis out of Massachusetts. You think of Bernie Sanders out of Vermont, Howard Dean out of Vermont. Now, Howard Dean, the problem was there, a little bit like the Bernie Sanders phenomenon, actually. They got these young people excited about voting, but when it came down to it, they didn't turn out and vote. Now, in this case, Bernie Sanders did get people to turn out to vote. Howard Dean actually ended up finishing third in New Hampshire, and that pretty much ended his campaign. And then the Dean scream, which Howard Dean himself made fun of at the DNC the other night. So we're hanging. We're trying to deal with the weather here, and, we could chat about whatever you want to talk about. I was there for 2004. I was in Boston for that. That was electric. There's no red America, there's no blue America, we're the United States of America. That's a speech that the whole nation wanted to hear. 2008, I was in Denver for that. This is not the same thing. I don't care what they're telling you on television. I was on the floor and I could feel it. It's different. This is a guy, and I talked about this on Facebook, this is a guy where I think hope and change collided with reality last night. This is a guy who's no longer a candidate. He's in the job, and he knows how hard this job is. And all that sloganeering doesn't mean much when you're the president of the United States and you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. And I think that's the President Obama we saw last night. A guy who's grown up, who came in with such hope and change, but realizes that it's not that easy. It is not that easy to accomplish those things. And this is a cautionary tale for Donald Trump. Donald Trump has talked about how he's going to do this, he's going to do that. He's not talking about how he's going to do it or how he's going to pay for it. So I think there are lessons for Donald Trump as well, that being a candidate is a far different deal than being the executive. It's a whole different thing. And I'm telling you, Sami, I know what you're reading and I know what you're hearing, but you're hearing it from a lot of Democratic operatives. That was not the same energy on that floor last night that I saw in 04 or in 08. No doubt in my mind. And I'm being objective about it. I just didn't feel it.
Insight from John Hook. Very interesting. What about the reaction to the vice presidential candidate, Tim Kaine? He was trending on Twitter all last night.
In what way?
Well, I mean, a lot of the tweets were people referring to him as, like, your dad, the kind of dad. I think the funniest tweet I saw was, Tim Kaine's the kind of guy where you're over at your friend's place and he walks in and he won't tell on you for smoking weed, but then he'll tell you about all the side effects and how it damages your brain. He's that dad.
That's an interesting take. Yeah, I think even the Democrats would say of the night that Tim Kaine's speech was probably the least effective or moving. He's pretty vanilla. I think he was okay last night. He's a likable guy for sure, but as an orator, it's not very exciting. And I think people last night were waiting to hear from President Obama. And I'm not saying President Obama was bad last night. I'm just saying that I got a sense from him, even up there, that he's thinking, I got to do this. I got to do this for the party, but I'm the president. And I got this feeling that he was thinking about the job that he's in more than this stuff. Because, even though he loves to campaign, and he'll be out there vigorously defending Hillary Clinton on the campaign trail, he loves to do that. But he's seen now, being in the job, that all the sloganeering and all the talk before the campaign and before entering office doesn't mean a heck of a lot when you become the president. All that stuff you talk about in the campaign, it's very hard to do. And we've seen this time and time again. Remember, you can't just wave a magic wand in this country. You got to deal with two houses, in the House and the Senate. You've got to deal with a legislative branch. So a president can't just wave a magic wand. They're not a dictator. If Donald Trump were to win this thing, he's going to find that out very quickly. This is a whole different job than being the CEO of a company. You can kind of impose your will. It's not like this. You've got 100 people in the Senate, and you've got 437 in the House, or whatever it is, 435, and it's just not that easy. So